We'll start off with Jack Furlong. He served on the Richardson Area Habitat for Humanity Board for 10 years. He's completed 14 homes for the Dallas Area Habitat, and he's personally led the build effort on 3 of the homes where he designed, permitted, and managed the construction of a 25-lot subdivision for Habitat as well. And as the ASCE Texas Section President, Jack led the effort in making the Centennial Habitat House happen. At the far end, we have Mary Freeman. She's the Director of Development. Mary was raised in a missionary family and loves that Habitat is a key and tangible solution to lifting families out of poverty. As a donor-centered fundraiser for over 15 years, her passion is developing a culture of philanthropy that supports, man, you got big words in here, collaborative partnerships. Next to Mary, we have Ashlyn Kelbly. She graduated from Texas A&M University with a bachelor's in civil engineering in May of 2011. Since then, Ashlyn has been accruing engineering experience as part of the utilities team at Kimley Horn Associates, along with Colin Blankenship. Ashley co-authored the feature article for the summer 2013 ASCE Texas Section magazine. Ashlyn became involved with Habitat during college and has enjoyed working with the Dallas Area Habitat organization throughout the Centennial Build Partnership. And then finally, next to Jack is Colin Blankenship. Colin's an associate engineer with Hayden Consultants and has been a member of the staff since 2003 there. He's active in ASCE where he serves as Centennial Committee Chair. He also is a member of the North Texas chapter of Engineers Without Borders and serves as the Engineers Without Borders liaison for the Dallas branch of ASCE. Yes, he's also an Aggie. Whoop. Colin was named the 2012 ASCE Dallas Branch Young Engineer of the Year. And with that, I think Jack's starting.
Thank you, Sean. This wouldn't have happened without the help and support of the Texas section, the Dallas branch, and a lot of other local civil engineers, their companies, and contractors as well. About a year ago, we were looking for sort of a marquee project to grace the Centennial year. This is our 100th year anniversary, and as a marquee project, we wanted to do something to give back to the community, so we came up with this idea of a Centennial House. Well, during the year, I had a call from Leanne Napolillo in Houston, and we found out that Rice University was celebrating their 100th year last year, 2012, and so the idea of a greenhouse was hatched, and so we thought that we'd make the Centennial House more of a green concept. And to that end, we wanted to implement or put in some features like possibly a solar array, rain harvest barrels for irrigation, some added insulation, get a gold certification, LEED certification for the house, use high energy appliances, and make it very energy efficient. Well, to this end, Rice University had some plans that had been designed by some of the students, I believe, or some of the architects and students at Rice, and we contacted them. We were given permission by the Houston Area Habitat for Humanity to the Dallas Area Habitat to use those freely. And so I just felt very compelled to try this out with Dallas Area Habitat. So I approached them last spring. I talked to Mary, Cindy Lutz, Imogene Hanvey, and some of the other staff there, and they were very cooperative and encouraged us to try and follow that route. So we did. And to that end, I'll get into money raising later, but we contacted the Texas section. I served as president last year, and they were very receptive to it, so we included that in our overall budget and agreed to put out about $30,000 to the $80,000 that we're having to raise from other sources to build this house. You go to the next slide here. This is kind of the story about how we got to where we are today. This is how ASCE is celebrating their 100th year anniversary. They were founded in 1913. We also have a very detailed history book that we'll be selling, and that's a whole nother story. But the house itself just went from concept to reality as we had formed a committee. Colin Blankenship has been a co-chair. Ashlyn has been done a great job with the volunteer coordination. Mary's been helping us a lot with the development and encouragement. We had several meetings over the last year to do the planning that went into this. We got input from the Dallas Area Habitat Board and some of the people with that organization. Dave Fisk and Dave Ramon here at this lead table are our house leaders. I call them Dave 1 and Dave 2, but they've been out there every Saturday to help with the build, help train some of the people who are new to Habitat, have never worked on a build before, and kind of explain the process, where we are during the build. Originally, this house started as a 10-week build, but it's going to stretch into probably about 11, possibly 12, just because this is what they call a one-off house. And by that, they've never built it before, and they may never build it again. And everything on site is stick-built, and normally we have framing for the exterior walls and interior walls that are shipped out to the house as it's put together. Let me go to the next slide. Again, we have formed this partnership with the Dallas Area Habitat for Humanity. There was a greenhouse, and after our fall conference that we had here in Dallas, our first build day, we had about 40 people out at the site, and it was very humbling to see mostly civil engineers, a lot of students from both SMU, UT Arlington, and the whole Dallas area come together on this project. We had already had a family, Edgar Munvoy, and his daughter will be occupying the house, and I think his mother may be moving in as well. But they have to put in a lot of sweat equity, and I'll let Mary get into that. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Colin and let him, Mary, and let her explain the opportunities with Habitat.
Good day. Thank you so much for having me. Actually, our goal at Dallas Habitat is really to engage, empower, and transform neighborhoods. We're no longer just about one house here or one house there. We really do want to go in deep and invest in communities, and we need partners like ASCE and the Texas section and all the other groups, community groups that have come alongside us to actually be the hands and feet in the field. Because it's only that way in partnership that we can empower our volunteers to successfully impact their community and our homeowners to be successful. And the long-term goal is actually to transform many neighborhoods that are long forgotten, and we are actually rebuilding West Dallas. As far as our mission, we are actually out to provide affordable housing for low-income families. We particularly serve those who are kind of at about 50% of area median income. So for example, if a family of four makes between $17,000 and $40,000 a year, they would be qualified for our program. Their payments, actually, because this is a mortgage, it's not a giveaway program. This is truly a hand up, not a handout. They will be facilitating a mortgage, inclusive of taxes and insurance, of anywhere from $600 to $900 a month. And they are immediately building equity, and that's how you're really going to break a cycle of poverty. As far as qualifying, again, it's based on the income. But they also have to be willing to partner with us because we don't build necessarily in the pretty part of town. They have to be willing to be on the front lines of transforming those communities. And again, the ability to pay to service that mortgage. The mortgage payments, and we actually service all of our mortgages, come back in to allow us to go out and reinvest in more communities. Cindy, who's here with us today, is actually our Vice President of Community and Neighborhood Investment. So she's looking long-term strategically Where can we acquire land to go in deep and big, and we'll try to maybe do 20 or 30 homes at one time in one particular neighborhood. That's how you're really going to transform the neighborhood. We build about 40 to 50 new homes a year. To date, in our 27-year history, we've built over 1,200, and we serve Dallas County. There are other Habitat affiliates here in the DFW area that provide housing in other areas. We also do what we call rehab brush with kindness. So in the community where we are building a brand new home, we will identify owner-occupied low-income families who might need a new roof, might need the exterior rehab done, painting, and we use groups to sponsor and volunteer on those as well. Again, trying to be able to revitalize that neighborhood. Our build-a-block concept has actually been about 5 years in the making, where instead of building a house here or a house there kind of scattered, it's really going in and investing. And we have actually some partners that have adopted a block, a street. They've helped us with land acquisition, with tearing down blight, with also then building new homes and doing the rehab projects, so that they have really invested and transformed not just one house, one family, but an entire block in the community. We are seeing that if we can change the ratio of low-income folks becoming more homeowners in those neighborhoods, usually what happens is crime goes up because you have a high ratio of low-income folks and high rental. So if you can bring down those to more owner-occupied, the low-income piece doesn't have to change that much. So if we can get more homeowners in those communities, we're seeing a 32% drop in crime in those neighborhoods. Our restores actually are a way for you and anyone to shop and acquire things that are rehabbing your home. Paint supplies, carpeting, wood floors, cabinetry. That helps us offset our overhead so that donor dollars, those wonderful donations that ASCE is providing on this project, go truly 100% to the project, to building the house. Global Village, Ashlyn I know has been on one. I've been on one. That's actually where you can go and do habitat in about 60 countries around the globe. You can go for a 1 to 2 week period and actually build alongside families who are in the same model of purchasing a home. And of course it's different in every country, but I would encourage you, if you're interested in that, I'll be here after or even involved with us in Dallas. There are a lot of ways to go out and do habitat. As far as the families, most of them are families, of course, and they tend to be single parents. About 85% are single parents with young children, but we're not exclusive. We are equal housing opportunity, so we do have sometimes folks that purchase a home through our program that are just one occupant, an adult occupant. The sweat equity that Jack alluded to is anywhere from 200 to 250 hours. That is the down payment that the person puts on their home. And that is also inclusive of 9 classes that each of our homeowner families must participate in to ensure their success as a homeowner. The kinds of classes they take, of course, are construction, how to maintain their home, but many times when you ask our homeowners what is their favorite, it's financial management. How do they stay to where they can continue to afford this home and maintain it and even be successful? We've had a lot of families that have come in, and now that housing is stabilized in their life, they're using those resources through better budgeting and going on and pursuing education for themselves and for their children. Our families pay a 0 interest mortgage over a 25-year period. And because we service the mortgage, we actually end up being an additional safety net. Because most of our families are sometimes the most vulnerable to interruptions in work, or may have challenges weathering a medical situation, we can kind of, through our partners and sponsors, and I've seen this a lot with our faith partners, can come alongside them and help them weather those situations. So again, because we're in touch with them on a monthly, regular basis, we call it the 25-year habitat marriage that we have with our families. I want to give you insight. We are just now making these announcements publicly, but mark your calendars for October 5th of 2014, because we're in Dallas, Fort Worth, are going to be hosting the Super Bowl of Habitat. President Jimmy Carter and his bride Rosalind have been partnering with us for 30 years. They will come out to a Habitat location for a full week and literally swing a hammer for the week, alongside volunteers that travel from all over the world to work alongside them. We will be co-hosting this with our Trinity Habitat chapter that serves Tarrant County. The goal is to serve over 100 families with both new home construction and rehab, the Brush with Kindness projects. And so hopefully you will see that. You'll see great opening ceremonies, a great week of seeing the community come together, and I hope I'll get to see some of your bright, shining faces out there in a year. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Mary, for telling us about the good work that Habitat for Humanity is doing within the city. It's been a pleasure working with you over the past year. From there, I'm going to take over and start talking a little bit more about the details of the ASCE Centennial House. As Jack said earlier, our design is based on a design that was built for the Rice Centennial House to celebrate Rice University's 100-year anniversary. It was designed by Courtney Benson and Yontan Pressman, two architects with the Rice Habitat for Humanity, and they were nice enough to provide us with their plans, their CAD files, everything we needed to really take from their design and move forward. What we have here, this just has the front and rear elevation of the house, provides us an opportunity to talk about some of the special features of the house. As you can see, we have a single slant roof from one side to the other, which really provided the perfect opportunity for solar panels. So we have this house has been designed with the idea of installing solar panels. Unfortunately, we've recently lost our donator or our sponsor for solar panels. So if anyone out there would like to write a check for the installation of solar panels, we are still open for that. But we are looking for a donor, and we're pretty confident that we will find it by the end of the project. Another key feature of this house is with that single tall, the slant roof design, it's a great opportunity to use passive lighting. We've done this by installing large, they're called clustery windows along the major wall, right along there. Right along this upper wall, we have 3 clustery windows. What these allow is they allow for outside lighting to easily flow into the house, and it will reduce the amount of electric needs during the day. The owner of this house will not have to turn the lights on for the most part during the day, just because of the ambient lighting. We've also worked with Engineers Without Borders. They've provided us with a rainwater catchment system. We have a rain barrel which will collect water from the gutters, and from there it will simply water the foundations, keep that moist, and possibly water some shrubs that will be around the home. And as Jack mentioned earlier, we do have a goal of this being a gold LEED certified home. All houses built by Dallas Habitat for Humanity are a silver level LEED certified home. But we feel with the extra additions we've made here, we should be able to achieve the gold certification. What we have here, this is a photo of the framing of those clustery windows. And as you can see, just the amount of light which is coming in just from just the natural sunlight. At this point, the window hasn't been completely framed, but right now we've completely framed the house. The windows have been installed, and currently with no electricity inside the home, it's very easy to see during the day with just the ambient lighting. What we have here, this is the floor plan of the house. I believe this is the original floor plan provided by Rice. We have a 1-car garage with 3 bedrooms. The front bedroom is the master bedroom, which is a little larger than the 2 bedrooms in the rear. The house does have an east-west access, And this is simply for the solar panels to maximize the amount of solar power that we can generate. Early on in the process, we looked at several lots in the area of this house until we found this corner lot, which actually provided us the ability to orient the house in the direction needed to catch the solar light. Well, here, this is the final floor plan once we did our modifications. You probably haven't looked at these as much as I have, so you can't see the subtle changes, but we did quite a bit of modifications from the original. First off, we modified the flooring. In the original floor plan, there was carpet all throughout the dining area and the living room, and we modified that so that we provided a tile stoop right in the front of the entrance, and also we are going to install tile during the dining area. Another renovation we made to meet Dallas area standards was the HVAC unit and the water heater was all located within the attic. And that's not typically done for a Dallas Habitat home. So with that, we've taken the HVAC unit, the internal unit, and it's been relocated into a closet, which is right outside the rear bedrooms. And the water heater has been removed, and it is to be installed within the garage. Some of the changes that are probably less easy to see from the floor plan were window locations and lighting fixtures. The lighting fixtures have been replaced with typical lighting fixtures done from Dallas Habitat, and some of the windows which were that were unstandard windows have been replaced with the standard window used from Habitat. One modification, or I guess our biggest improvement made to this house design has to do with the rear bathroom, which we have modified some of the spaces and some of the blocking to make this an ADA adaptable bathroom. It's not ADA compliant currently, as in we haven't installed grab bars or anything like that. But if our homeowner was to ever be found in a wheelchair, it could easily be modified to install the grab bars, have the reach ranges that are required for this to be an ADA accessible bathroom. So the project, it kicked off construction September 14th. As Jack said, this was part of the Texas Section Fall Conference. We predicted a 10-plus week build, and we got it. We'll be an 11-week build, and the location is 1626 Vickers. This is in the Los Altos area of West Dallas. And as we said, we looked at several lots in this area, and we found that this was the location that really provided us the best possibility for solar lighting or solar power. What we have here, this is a picture of the lot before we got out there. There's a lot that has to be done on a house before your volunteers can show up and start swinging hammers. So once we completed the plans, the first step was submitting for building permits, just like any other home that's being built in the area. We also had in this site some lead remediation. Early on, we had a report done, and it showed that there were some portions of the soil in the southeast corner of the lot which were contaminated with lead. So some soils were removed and then replaced with fill. There was also quite a bit of site fill you can see in this picture, and this was simply done to raise the finished floor of the home to be above the floodplain in this area, the FEMA recognized floodplain. And a couple of items that had to be done for design before we could start that was subbed out was the foundation design and then the structural design that went along with the roof trusses to have this slant design. So from there, I'll turn it over to Ashlyn. She'll talk a little bit about the history of the area and show you some construction photos.
All right, as Colin mentioned, lead remediation is kind of a unique aspect of building in West Dallas. There's a section in West Dallas that is actually a Superfund site defined by the EPA. Its official name is the RSR Corporation Superfund site. It covers about 13.6 square miles in West Dallas, and it's a result of a lead smelter. The smelter was opened in the 1930s at the intersection of Singleton Boulevard and Westmoreland Road, and at that facility they would extract lead and other metals from used car batteries or other scrap metals that had been delivered to the facility. Environmental regulations not really being what they are today, over the span of 50 years, it was discovered that a lot of contamination had happened in the surrounding area. And so in the early 80s, they did some blood tests on children in the area and found that they all had very high levels of lead in their bloodstream. And so the smelter was closed in 1984, and the EPA started moving forward on remediation activities for lead contamination, as well as some cadmium and arsenic contamination. So this is kind of a map showing the Superfund area. The red boundary is Operating Unit 1, and they broke out 4 other operating units to better manage the remediation activities that are going on in West Dallas. And so our site is actually located just east of the blue block. We're in Operating Unit 1, and the remediation activities that took place there were just emergency soil removal. They just took out a lot of soil and replaced it. They identified 420 residential and industrial sites that had lead contamination. A lot of the homes had used lead or battery chip material from the smelting facility as select fill on their lots. So as you can imagine, there were rather high lead levels in some of those sites. The EPA has determined that a lot of the operating areas are ready for reuse. They've issued RFRs for a lot of the areas in the Superfund sites, and actually Operating Unit 4 and part of Operating Unit 5 have been deleted from the Superfund site. But as part of the building permitting process, as Colin mentioned, Habitat did a lead analysis on several of their lots that they're looking to develop in West Dallas, and we found that our 1626 Vickers site had a little bit high lead concentration remaining on that site above the EPA action level. And so, as he mentioned, some of the soil in the southeast corner of the lot was removed and replaced, and so that was an additional $5,100 of lead remediation that needed to be done as part of the building permit process. Other than that, it was pretty standard permitting process for Habitat. They've got several engineers on staff who are familiar with permitting in the city of Dallas, and so your typical survey and plat process, building permits, getting an electrical permit so we can get a power drop for construction activities, and then your residential water and wastewater permitting. So now I'm going to put on my volunteer coordinator hat, and before I do that, I see some familiar faces out in the crowd, and as is already mentioned, we have our conveniently named house leaders, Dave and Dave, here with us today. But if you have come out to the Centennial House or volunteered for one Saturday, could you please stand up for a moment? So it's been really fun for me to get to coordinate with all the firms and all the individuals who want to donate their time and come out on Saturday, and we're really appreciative to the Dave and Dave team for being out there every Saturday and coordinating all of us, and it's just been great to get to know everybody who's come out. And so now I will step through what we've accomplished on the house so far. So week 1 was timed with the end of the fall conference, the fall ASCE conference, and we worked on the wall raising and the framing. We had a big group of SMU students come out, and we also had some conference attendees. This house was a little bit interesting in that in a typical Habitat house, the walls are prefabricated in the wall shop at the Dallas Habitat headquarters, but since this is a one-off build, all the framing was done on-site, and so you can see some of the people in the foreground of this picture actually laying out the walls on-site, nailing them together, and then erecting them. So on a typical build, you'll go out and start with a slab, and near the end of the day, it looks like a house. The framing on this one's gone a little bit more slowly because we're looking at the plans and going piece by piece. But it's been a really good learning experience to know all the components that go into the different walls. So week 2, there's Jack and Dave hanging out, continuing the wall raising and framing. We had a good group from CH2 come out, and again another group of SMU students. During week 3, we actually had some subcontractors on site to work on the high central wall. That was a 2x6 wall, and it was about 16 feet tall, so for some reason Dave and Dave weren't comfortable with us framing that ourselves. So we had some subcontractor help that day. That was also a Kinley Horn day. Some of my coworkers came out, and we had a fun time working on some more framing and exterior sheathing. Week 4, you can see the blue board going up. There's the high central wall that would support the top edge of the trusses. And the UTA student chapter came out and helped us that week. You can see some of the windows also getting ready to go in. During week 5, you can definitely see the big difference. All of the trusses are in. We subcontracted out that as well, the main inverted trusses and the roof decking. And so we were continuing to sheathe underneath those inverted triangular pieces and to do blue board and more exterior work. We had SMU students and some EWB members out on week 5. So for week 6, again, the framing and the framing and the decking under the trusses, which is kind of challenging, cutting those fun angles. We had LA Feast out there, and being structural engineers, they had a lot of fun hanging out on the trusses. And there's Colin doing some interior framing, and you can see another view of those clear story windows. So for week 7, we started on siding, soffit, and fascia boards, starting the exterior dry-in of the house. We had a big group of WJE employees and Brown & Gay employees. For week 8, you can see this massive rear wall that will all be covered in siding. Hayden Consultants came out, and Half and Associates had a big group as well. It was beautiful weather, so we continued doing siding, windows, exterior dry-in, and some work on the roof of the garage. And then you can see the front of the house right here. It's really coming along, really looking like a house. We've got doors, we've got windows, we've got a lot of the siding done. So that was this past Saturday. We had another great group of SMU students and some EWB members coming out as well. Originally, this upcoming Saturday was slated to be our last build day, November the 16th, but Dave and Dave have agreed to extend the build one more week to November 23rd. So that's the Saturday before Thanksgiving. You hopefully won't be out of town yet. And so we're looking for volunteers to fill those slots on Saturday, November 23rd if you haven't gotten a chance to come out to the house yet. Also, if you come out, you can buy one of these excellent t-shirts that we've been selling on site for $5 with some engineering humor. And so if you're interested in signing up for that build and joining us in 2 weekends, please come see me after the meeting. And now I'll turn it back over to Jack.
Thank you, Ashlyn. We can't do this without everyone's help, and I just wanted to recognize some of the organization, people, and resources that have put together volunteers to help us, and recognize those companies. We greatly appreciate everything that y'all have done to help us get to this point, and we look for a successful completion of this house. The dedication is set for December the 14th, which is a Saturday at 11 a.m., and we'll be turning over the keys to the house to the family, along with a gift basket, a Bible, and some groceries, hopefully, to fill up his pantries. And I'm working on an angle to acquire a used washer and dryer to help him as well. And we just hope that we can help the family kind of get a hand up and not a handout, because they put in a lot of their own time and sweat equity here. By the numbers, I just sat down and figured that if we had 25 people working 6 hours a day on a typical weekend, that we were putting in over 1,500 man hours to build this house just from our raw labor. And that's over a 10-week build. And actually, we're going to extend that to 11 weeks because we had a little bit of learning curve to go through with this particular house. We also are trying to raise over $80,000. Right now, we're at a figure of about $52,000, and we've got to close that gap over the next few weeks. So I'm just putting out an appeal that if y'all are compelled or know of people that can make any kind of donation to this effort, we greatly appreciate it. Again, we're trying to give something back to the community here, and one house is a big step for us. We've never done this before, so it was kind of a new territory, but it's come together in a great way, and it's involved a lot of different people and companies and collaboration. And my whole deal this last year was collaborative leadership, relational leadership, and how to work with organizations as we are today between SAME, ASCE, And during the fall conference, we had several other institutes within ASCE have their committee meetings and programs in association with ours to increase our attendance. These are some of the donors that have made contributions to the house, and I just don't want to walk away without recognizing some of them. We greatly appreciate their help and assistance. TXI, let's see, wow. TXI, I better make sure it gets up there. They donated the concrete for the slab, the sidewalk, and the garage pavement, and that was about a $6,500 in-kind donation. But anyway, we want to thank them, and again, be sure to join us for the technical sessions immediately following this presentation in, I believe, Bent Tree 3. We're going to have more detail as to the foundation design, the structural design. I called on some experts like my father to help with the structural analysis. He's a retired professor from the University of Texas who has not lost all of his marbles, but he is still very sharp technically and serving on some NSF committees. But I appreciate his assistance. Is Catherine Gallant here today? I invited her. She's a geotechnical engineer that sealed the plans. Phil Fisher, are you here today? Okay, well, it'll be probably a show of myself, Colin, Ashlyn, and Mary, and my dad, and myself. But we can address some of the issues with regard to the foundation and the roof, and probably not too well on the solar. But I invited some other people to help us with the tech session. They may be outside, but I appreciate y'all's patience. And again, thank you for everything that y'all have done.